Hi, I'm joined by Rod Arnold, Board President of the Delta Chi Educational Foundation. My name is Peter Lane. I am the Director of Development. What a treat here today in Rod's home here in Atlanta, Georgia. It's Christmas time, obviously, end of the year. We wanted to spend a few minutes and let you guys get to know Rod and his story in Delta Chi, and then talk a little bit about the foundation and what he's excited about for the future. So Rod, let me kick things off here. Let me give a brief introduction. Rod is the current board president for the foundation. He is a new founder, which means he's given over $100,000 lifetime through the Delta Chi Educational Foundation. Thank you so much for that leadership and generosity. He's a founding father from the Texas A&M chapter, graduate in 1988. Gig 'em, go Aggies. And he is a father to three wonderful boys and has been married to his wife Chevy for over 15 years. Wonderful role model for how we all should go through life. So thank you for setting that example. Rod, tell everybody a little bit about why you joined Delta Chi and why you've stayed involved all these years.
Well, I think I've told that story many times over the years to people that will listen, but it was a little bit purposeful, a little bit accidental in regards to joining Delta Chi specifically. I'm the oldest sibling of a large number of kids in our family, and always had the idea of wanting additional or just having big brothers. Didn't have any big brothers, so I always wanted to join an organization, and I always thought about being in a fraternity. Delta Chi was a little bit by accident. You know, I recognized the letters, and they were on a flyer on campus, and it was the opportunity to start a fraternity chapter. So that's how that happened.
Wonderful. And so that was back in the mid 80s. We're now approaching 2020.
Yeah.
You're still involved in a big way.
Yeah.
What's kept you engaged?
Well, number one, you blink and 30 years go by. You know, all of a sudden you look up and we're the old guys. I'm not sure how that happened, but I just got so much out of my fraternity experience. I always share with undergrads when I'm visiting with them. You know, if you are a accounting major and you don't want to be, or you haven't thought about being your chapter treasurer, you're being foolish. There's so many leadership opportunities. It's like running a small franchise, and I always tell people that, you know, we're much more than just a social club. We are a franchise. Each of our chapters is a franchise of the ideals founded over 100 years ago. So there's lots of leadership training involved to try and fail, or to fail and then try again a lot of times. And I just got a lot out of it. I learned a lot. I had a lot of growing up to do. Any of my chapter brothers will attest to that immediately. But I got so much out of it, and it led directly to my career for 30 years.
Let's talk about your career for a minute. You are the founder and now chairman, I believe,
Yep.
of the Erickson Group.
Right.
And that's a group of companies focused on healthcare executive search with Recruit MD, recruitment training. You are the author of the All Pro Rush training programs
Yes.
and material, and nonprofit advisory, helping build nonprofit boards.
Right.
What from your Delta Chi experience, maybe it was something you got in college or through some of these roles you've had as an alumnus, has prepared you to lead a very successful professional career?
Well, again, the folks have known me for a long time. I mean, I held all the typical chapter offices, but the one that I was most known for, notoriety, good or bad, but was in recruitment. I was recruitment chair for a number of years, and starting a new colony and then a chapter. You know, there's a little bit of guerrilla warfare involved in regards to, you got to be aggressive, you have to have good project velocity, all these things that in business we talk about all the time, and you're having to learn that because you're what you perceive to be at the time as an undergrad your competition, you learn later that's not the case. There really is no competition other than what's going on between your ears. But learning to market yourself, interpersonal skills, being able to train others in those interpersonal skills to go out and build up you know, your ranks in regards to brothers, and how, you know, men versus women join organizations, how they're drawn to organizations. So all the psychology involved that you're kind of stumbling and bumbling and learning. But all that was picked up in the chapter, and it led directly to a 30-year plus career in recruitment. I didn't go to school to join, you know, be in the recruiting industry, but all of that came directly out of my chapter involvement and what I learned there.
Wonderful. Well, I don't want to be remiss and not talk about the foundation. You are the board foundation president, and so I want to talk a little bit about what's going on with the Delta Chi Educational Foundation. And if you don't mind, kind of tell everybody here, we've had lots of conversations about it, but what excites you about the next evolution of the Delta Chi Educational Foundation. And if you think for a minute, you guys watching, go back 30 years, that was the 1990 centennial.
Yeah, that was yesterday.
We're now in
Seemingly feels
2020.
yesterday.
Look ahead at 2050, the next 30 years.
Right.
I've heard you talk a lot about friends and funds. Kind of tell us about your vision for engaging members.
Well, it's an overarching strategy to keep from prattling on about it, just to focus on drawing in that 98% of membership. And it really doesn't matter if we're talking about our fraternity or other social organizations or other not-for-profit organizations where people spend their time. Any given percentage out of that is normally about 90 to 95% of the membership that are not actively engaged. We go to what I call the usual suspects. We all see the same faces. All of our brothers are involved, and we go to the regional leadership conferences, we go to conventions, and it is that inner circle camaraderie that we have. But there are fully 90+ % of our brotherhood that, and it's just a perspective of how people look at fraternity. Some people equate that with college. That was college. They close the book and they move on, and then they turn right around and join the same type of fraternal organizations that they feel match and mirror where they are in their life. So when we talk about brotherhood of a lifetime, we have to make sure that we have a place and space for people to feel like they can stay involved after graduation, other than just saying, well, of course you can stay involved. They need to see it and feel it, and that starts with the social. So the building of friends is to help them understand, be it an alumni chapter or involvement in the foundation and the activities that we do, the social activities, that there's a place for them to share and have camaraderie and talk about things going on in a professional world or family world, where they feel more in sync with that. And then after that, getting those people involved to understand that they can support the organization through a variety of modalities, either their time as a volunteer at the chapter level, on a regional level. If they say, look, I don't have a lot of time, but I do want to support certain programming initiatives, then that's what the foundation is here for, is a vehicle that everyone's familiar with for not-for-profits, is a vehicle to support programming for now and then programming for the future.
I really like that, the vehicle for someone that maybe doesn't have the time to be involved as a volunteer. The fraternity has been putting out year in review stuff all this month, and one of the things they talk about is the 600+ volunteers that we have as advisors.
Yeah.
That sounds like a lot of people, and it is, and that's a lot of time, but we have 95,000 living alumni.
Right.
Where is that opportunity for those men to have an adult relationship with their fraternity brothers that's not centered around chapter operations and advisement? And that's kind of what you're talking about through some of these experiences.
Yeah, and we're seeing huge growth, I think, across the board in the brotherhood. We're seeing the focus on, where do people go after they graduate, and finding a place for them inside the brotherhood. And it's just exciting because we see brothers, over the last 6 months, different, social setting initiatives and events, that I've been involved in, where I visit with brothers who maybe haven't been involved in the brotherhood since they graduated. And they say, I had one of my chapter brothers that was at our most recent convention, and he had never seen that many Delta Chi's in one room. And for folks, again, in our circle, that doesn't really resonate with us because we're used to seeing, the usual suspects. And for someone who just was involved at the chapter level and they come back to see an international event is a big deal to them. And it prompts and motivates them to maybe draw a little bit closer and a little bit closer, and then get them involved and maybe remember some of the things they did at the chapter level.
Well, that's wonderful. Thank you for sharing that vision. If I could, can I take it just a little bit more granular? Talk about some of the programs, some of the fund opportunities that the foundation offers as that vehicle to give back. Could you talk about some of that?
Yeah, we've identified at the moment, and I know that there's more, but 3 primary lanes of giving in regards to donors. And this comes from not just fraternal foundations, it comes from foundations in general and the lessons that people have learned over many, many years. Different types of donors that give for different reasons. One of them is the donor who was only involved, in our case, at the chapter level, and they want to support their chapter. Maybe they're building a new house, or they're renovating their house. And so we have the ECHI accounts, the Educational Chapter Housing Initiatives, where they can donate via the foundation a tax-deductible gift to help their house and their chapter specifically. There's other people that want to see, their money work now. They want to see their donations work now for specific programming. So we have accounts. The one that comes to mind is the Galbraith Leadership Fund, where people can donate into that, and it directly funds leadership programming for the fraternity immediately. And some of our donors really like that. And then another lane that we've opened up has been people that say, I want to make a gift where it's there in perpetuity. It's the traditional thought of what a foundation is, and it is the savings account, the principal that builds. If you think of a university foundation or a healthcare foundation, where they're able to fund things off of the interest off of the principal over years and years. Right. So we're working on endowments for some of our primary leadership programs and scholarship programs over years and years, so that they're established, they're there, and they never go away. And then we can talk about new initiatives and programs over the years.
Wow, that sounds wonderful. And I just have to say, having these conversations re-engages and re-inspires me. And so thank you for your leadership and for your vision. In closing, we would like to wish everybody a happy holidays and a wonderful start to the new decade in 2020. Is there anything else you would like to say as we close?
Yeah, how did we get to 2020 already? It's amazing. Cheers and Happy New Year to everyone, 2020, and I hope it's prosperous for everyone.